Good morning to all. So today we are discussing the transaction management. In transaction management, what is a transaction? A program is in execution is called as a transaction. So a program is in execution is called as a transaction. A transaction is a set of operations such as read, write, and processing like this. A transaction has four properties: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. What is atomicity? So atomicity states that so either all the operations of the transactions are completed or none. That's we called as atomicity. Take place, all the operations of a transaction are none. There is no midway. So that's we called as a transaction. A transaction atomicity has two properties: abort and commit. Once the transaction is completed, execution is completed, then we make it as a commit. Otherwise, we make it as a abort. Consistency. Consistency means nothing but so are maintaining the good quality of data. A good quality of data means correct data. The correct data is maintained by implementing the integrity constraints. So whenever we are using some integrity constraints in the database, if the data is consistent before and after the transactions. When we are implementing the constraints, so then we are making the so good. That's then consistency property, that's called as consistency. Isolation means if one database item is accessed by one transaction, that database item cannot be accessed by other transactions. That we call as isolation. Then durability. So durability means so the data must be available after even the system is also crashed. Even the system is crashed. That we called as so durability. Once the data is committed, the data must be available even the system is crashed. That's we called as durability. So these are the different properties of transaction. So there are four properties we called as acid properties: atomicity, consistency, isolation, and durability. So that's we called these four properties we called as acid properties. This is about transaction properties. Then we go for log. Log record or log. So what is a log or what is a log record? A log is a file. A log is a file which consists of so set of records which are stored in stable storage. A file, a log. So a log is a file of records. File of records which are stored in stable storage. Stored in stable storage. So the stable storage is assumed a stable storage. That's we call as so log. So the durability is achieved by maintaining two or more copies of the logs. The durability can be achieved by maintaining two or more records. So by maintaining two or more log records. So durability. So durability can be achieved by maintaining so two or more log records. Two or more log files, we call this another. Two or more log files. Durability means we are recovering the data from the database even the system is crashed. That we called as Durability. Durability is achieved by maintaining two or more copies of the logs on different disks. So like this we can get, the log is also called as a log is also called as trial or general. So we called as the trial, we called as the log. The log we called as trial or general. So what is a log? What is a log record? A log is a file consisting of, a log is a file. A log is a file and a file of records which are stored in stable storage, or sometimes we will call as a log is a file which consists of a set of records which are stored in stable storage. The durability is achieved. Durability means the recovery of the data from the database, even the system is crashed, that we call as durability. The durability can be achieved by maintaining two or more log files. So by maintaining two or more log files, we are achieving durability. So that's we called as by using logs, we are achieving the durability. A log is also called as a trial or general. The most recent portion of the log is called as log tail. The recent portion, the most recent portion of the log is called as log tail, which is kept in main memory and periodically forced, which is kept in main memory, is kept in main memory, and it is periodically forced in stable storage, and it is so what is log? So we'll call it as a log, as a set of records we called as a log. We log maintaining two or more log files. A durability can be achieved by maintaining two or more log files with also. The log is also we called as a general or trial. Tail, not a trial, not called as a general, or the log is also called as a trial or general. The most recent portion of the log is also called as a log tail, which is kept in main memory and periodically stored in stable storage. So that means and periodically updated. So we called as so that's we called as a log records and data records are written to the disk at the same granularity. The log records and data records are the log records and data records are written to the disk at the same granularity. At the same granularity. So that means so the log record and data records are written to the disk at the same time. So page means, so if it is a granularity, the page, so pages. So we'll call this. Every log record as a unique ID called as every log record has a unique ID called log sequence number. So we'll call as LSN. Each log record has a number. That number we called as LSN, log sequence number. This property, this property is required for the this property is required for the recovery manager when the system is crashed. So each record, each log has a prop ID called as log sequence number, and this number is updated automatically. So incremented automatically. That's what we call this. This what is the required? This property is required. This log sequence number is required for the recovery manager. When the system is crashed. So when the system is crashed, it is required for the manager to recover the data from the database. For every purpose, for every recovery purpose, every page in the database contain log sequence must present in the description. The log sequence is also called as page LSN. So it is also called as page LSN. We called as page recovery algorithm. So page log sequence number. So we'll also call it a log record. A log record is written for each of the following actions. Update page. Updating a page. Updating a page. After modifying a page, an update type record is appended to the log tile. After modifying the page, an update type record. An update type record is appended to the log tile. The page LSN of the page is then set to LSN. The page LSN of the page is set to the LSN of the update to log record. So first one, we have the log record. A log sequence is called as page LSN. A log record is written for each of the actions. So when we are updating a page, so automatically it will update the contents, updating a page. After modifying a page, an update type record is appended to the log tile. Log tile means the most recent action is called as a log tile. The page log sequence number of the page is set to log sequence of the update log record. So we set that. Commit. Second one is commit. When a transaction decided to commit, when a transaction decides to commit, it force writes decides commit, then type log record. When transaction is decided to commit, then automatically all the information is stored permanently on the disk, and log record number is also stored in. It force write a commit type log record containing transaction ID. So we have that. The log record is appended to the log tail is written to stable storage. So whenever the transaction is completed, executed fully, then so we make it as a commit. So when transaction is decided to commit, force write to commit type log record containing transaction ID. So remove the transactions, that's what called as abort. Third one is called as abort. When a transaction is abort, an abort type log recording containing all the containing the transaction ID is appended to the log, and undo when a transaction is aborted. When a transaction is aborted, an abort type log record containing the transaction ID is appended to log containing the transaction ID is appended to the log, and undo is initiated for this transaction. So we have the after, so it may be updated, commit, abort. So if it is updated, then we make it as updater. So if it is committed, we write a log record of type commit. If it is updated, we'll write a log record of type abort. End. When a transaction is aborted or committed, when a transaction is aborted or committed, some additional actions some additional actions must be taken some additional actions must be taken beyond writing the abort or commit log record. Beyond writing a abort or commit a abort or commit log record. An n-type log record containing an n-type log record containing the transaction ID is appended to the log. So that's we call it fourth one, undoing an update. So these are the four log. So this we call, these are the actions. For these actions, the log record is updated. When we are updated a page or committed a page or proper abort a page or end transaction or updating undoing an update. When a transaction is rolled back, when a transaction is rolled back, its updates are undone. Its updates are undone. When the transaction is described in update log record is undone, a compression log record. When an action is described by updating a log record is undone. When an action described by an update log record is undone, a compensation log record or CLR is written. So these are for these operations performed. So what is log? What is a log record? Explain. So what is a log? A log is a file of records which are stored in stable storage. So what is log? A log is a file. It's a one file. A file consists of set of records. That's right. A log is a file of records which are stored in stable storage. Some storage we use. So we achieved durability by maintaining 2 or more log files. So durability means the recovery of data from the data is damaged, that we called as durability. A durability is achieved by maintaining 2 or more log files. Whenever we are maintaining 2 or more files, we are achieved durability. A log is also called as a tail or general. We also call as a general. Log sometimes we call as maintenance general. So we take it. The most recent portion of the log is called as log tile, which is kept in the main memory and periodically stored in the stable storage. So the most recent action which are performed, so is we called as a log tile. So which is stored in main memory and that's automatically updated in stable storage. Each log record will consist of an ID. That ID we called as log sequence number. Every log record has a unique ID called as log sequence number. So the property this property, that means the log sequence number is required. This property we called as also called as the log sequence number is required. Sometimes we call as the log sequence number is required for the recovery manager when the system is crashed. What is the purpose? So when the system is crashed, so by based on this log sequence number, we can recover the data. The log sequence is also called as page sequence LSN. So a log record is written for the following actions. So when we maintain the logs, for each operation, the system will maintain a log. The log record is written for the following actions: updating a page. So when we are updated a page, it automatically. So when we are committed, when we are updated, end or undo a page. So this updating a page. So updating a page means after modifying a page or page. So when we are modified the page or when we are modify the contents, so an update type of record is appended to the log. So whenever we are modified, the record type is update record type. The page LSN of the page is set to LSN. So what we are performed, so whatever the record we are assigned, that will be assigned to the log. Commit. Second one is commit. So what is commit? Commit. So commit means when a transaction decides commit, when all the operations of the transaction is completed, then the transaction is decided to commit. So when it is committed, it forced to write commit type of log record. So log record containing transaction ID. So this transaction is completed, like this it will write. So when it is completed, so it will store the log record of type commit with transaction ID. When it is abort, so when it is abort means so when a transaction is abort, so abort, an abort type of record containing transaction ID is appended to the log. So when the transaction is aborted, it will store the abort type of transaction. So and undo the initiation. So abort means we are exiting. That's why we are undo the operations. When the transaction is completed, then we make it as an end transaction. So we'll make it as an end. So end indicates the end of the transactions. So after undoing, so we have the undo update. Sometimes it is necessary to undo the updates. So whenever we are undo operations, when it is undo the updates. So these are the different types of log record we maintain the actions. Every log record has a certain fields called as previous log sequence number, train log sequence ID, and a type. Every log record contains previous log sequence number, pre-LSN, trains ID, transaction ID, and type. So for every log record, it contains previous log sequence number, transaction ID, and a type. Hello? Hello? Uh, wrong number. Wrong. Previous log sequence number, transaction ID, and type. The set of all records are given. Transaction is initiated linked list going back. This is the previous log sequence field list that updating the way. So we these are the it is also contains every log record can also contains previous sequence number, transaction ID, and this type. This is about log record. What is log and what are the log records? Okay, ఒక నిమిషం. హలో మేడం చెప్పండి. చెప్పండి. మండే ట్యూస్డే పెడతాను ఇప్పుడు. ఆ, అంతే. మంది మంది కూడా చూడండి ఎప్పుడు కనుక్కోండి వెంకటరామయ్య గారిని ఎఫ్ఎఫ్సి. మన కాలేజీ కూడా ఉంటుంది ఎఫ్ఎఫ్సి, అందుకని వెంకటరామయ్య సార్ని కూడా కనుక్కుంటే అర్థమైపోతుంది. ఫోన్ చేసి కనుక్కోండమ్మా. So this is about log record. So what is log? What are the different types? So this is about log. So what is log? Explain log. And log means we'll explain like this. This is about log. Tomorrow we discuss some more topics. Okay, bye.